Good afternoon, people. I'll give this thing a couple of minutes to notify people I'm around. Let's have a chat. Let's have a chat. Boy, have I got a chat for you guys. Just waiting for Facebook to do its thing. And here we go. Okay. So we know that Pauline Hanson's not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to the facts about the cashless debit card. But her candidates, boy, oh boy, oh boy, they really have been given a really bad script. That's all I can say. And they're misleading people as a result of that. That doesn't surprise me because you've got to stick to the script. It's the party line, remember? So, I will put up some screenshots after of two of One Nation's candidates so far, showing that they clearly have no clue what they're talking about. But let's get started. I'm on Zach Menahenet. Sorry if I mispronounce his name. I can't pronounce his name for some reason. He is the One Nation candidate for Hinkler, Harvey Bay to Bundaberg region in Queensland. Let's go. So I just stumbled on here because I was actually looking for something where he's argued with me. And I came across something where he's arguing with somebody else. Right? In regards to the cashless debit card. So somebody was correcting him about the cashless debit card and when it was discussed and when it started, and how the trial originally rolled out in 2016. And he came back to this person and said, if you're going to troll, at least have factual information. Okay. Let me make things very clear. In 2014, Pauline wasn't around to vote for the original bill, okay? She came in later. So I'll just give her that, all right, because that's a fact. However, the cashless debit card trial started on March the 14th, 2016. Zach basically called somebody a liar, right? And, yeah, so, you know, and also then sent her stupid memes on his page and called her names, you know, insulted her and put up gifs and all this stuff. And so she says to him, so anyone that disagrees with you is a troll because, you know, my information is factual and yours is crap spewed out by Fon. Doesn't say much for you, does it? P.S. Your spelling needs some work, which it does. If you find this post on his page, his spelling's a little bit off. You know, so he replies saying, stay following, there's a video coming your way. You may not like coming weeks on trolls. You may know the star of it. Now, I don't know who that's going to be aimed at. Is that going to be aimed at the Labor Party? Is that going to be aimed at me? I don't know. Let's wait and see what they do, eh? They seem to be, they're not interested in facts, okay? Pauline's never been interested in facts. So this lady says, people like you always resort to insults and really have nothing else to come back with, because that's all he's done with this person. So I thought, well, I'll have a look at this thread. Yep, hang on, I'll get to you guys in the goldfields. Don't panic. I'm doing this on a timeline, okay? Don't worry. Don't panic, guys, because I'll read you my reply in a minute on his page, and I'll get called a troll because I did before. All right? In fact, he actually came into a live video on my personal page using a different account to argue with me there. So, with a different name, by the way, okay? So, this is Zach's comment regarding when the Indu card was put into place and everything like that. And he says, the Indu card was put in place in 2014 by the LNP and backed by the ALP. Pauline didn't get into Senate until 2016. Would you like me to clarify anything else for your uneducated mind? This is how he's talking to people who are challenging him, okay? This was... and he's right. The card was put in place in 2014. And at the time, it was supported by both LNP and ALP. However, ALP withdrew support in 2017. Let's make that very clear. Okay? So I replied to him, it still doesn't change the facts that the Indu card was rolled out to Ceduna on March the 14th, 2016, and East Kimberley, April the 23rd, 2016. Just because Pauline didn't show up until 2017 and then voted for it to roll out to the Goldfields on April 25th, 2018. And for the Hinkler region on January the 29th, 2019, and then extended and expanded the rollout to the Northern Territory and Cape York on December the 9th, 2020. ALP pulled support for the cashless debit card in 2017. That is bare minimum facts, right? Zach can jump and scream and squeal as much as he likes. That is the facts of the matter. When Pauline showed up on the scene, right, Kalgoorlie copped it. Labor were not supporting the trials to go into Kalgoorlie or anywhere else, right? They were watching the trials in East Kimberley and Ceduna, and that was it. And they pulled support in 2017, okay? So there's Hinkler Fon representative is not a very good. Now, I will have to dig up some more because I had quite an argument with this guy. Not an argument, mainly because he wanted to know the stats of who's on the card where. And when I started to tell him, he didn't want to know about outside of the Hinkler region. He only wanted for the Hinkler region. I said, you can't do that. You are vying for a federal seat in Parliament, which means you're going to be voting on policy that affects people outside your electorate. You have to be aware of who is on the card where outside of your electorate. You are not just voting for your electorate. If that was the case, go play state parliament, right? Why run for a federal seat if you're, you know, I don't get it. You know, if you want to represent your region, go for a state seat, but don't go for a federal seat if you're only interested in looking after your little plot. Right? Not when you're making policy for the whole country. You don't get away with playing, oh, I only want my region. You know what I mean? I'm only looking after my constituents, or his hopeful constituents that he wants. You know what I mean? So one of the biggest things that Pauline says is that she doesn't support the card for people with disabilities, pensioners and veterans. Then the question has to be asked, right? Why did she vote the card into the Goldfields? Why did she vote to expand the card or extend it for Ceduna and Kununurra back in 2017? Because all three of those regions have people on disability support pensions, carers pensions, right? So why are they telling people that she doesn't support them, you know, being on the card, when she's voted for them to be on the card? And this is what gets me. It's very, very misleading. So just bear with me while I go through stuff in my computer, all right? Because I like to read you guys facts and make sure it's very clear, you know, because... you know, I don't want to misquote anybody. And I will put up a lovely screenshot of another candidate of Pauline Hanson's that's also misleading the public with the way that they're trying to, I suppose, water down Pauline Hanson's support for the cashless debit card. But she can't get away from it. She's already been all over national media saying she wants a national rollout anyway. Okay, so here we go. I'll find it for you. So the Fon candidate for Blair, I'll have to dig up her name for you because the screenshot I'm reading at the moment doesn't have her name on it, but I've got one with her name on it, with the whole thing. Actually, I do have it. Just bear with me for a second, and I will go back to... I'll read you a little something that I was sent this morning, and you'll be... No, wrong one. Hang on. My apologies. Bear with me. Bear with me. I want to make sure I give you I quote things properly. You know what I mean? All right. Simple as that. I don't want to get candidates mixed up between UAP and One Nation, which I nearly did yesterday. And it was quite daunting. You know what I mean? But then again, they're both vying on the same thing. Oh dear. Oh my God. Hang on. Bear with me, guys. Liz Sudik, is it? Okay, that's her name. Thank you. So Liz Sudik for Blair. Okay. She commented to somebody that they are misinformed. One Nation is not supporting the card on all people. Pauline has said that she will never support that for pensioners, veterans and disability payments. The support you might be speaking of is the extension of the trial that Pauline did support. Well, she hasn't... Trials. See, she supported Goldfields, which takes in Kalgoorlie, Leonora, Laverton, Coolgardie, Condambla, or Camalda, I'm not sure the pronunciation, sorry, Balder, right? If I missed anything, Menzies, a huge area, all right? A huge area. Coolgardie, and also into some of the Aboriginal lands as well. She pushed it into there. She pushed it into Hinkler, which is Harvey Bay to Bundaberg. But that's a different age cap. That's under 36, right? And it's job seeker, parenting payment and youth allowance only in Hinkler for now. Minderoo have made bones about bringing Hinkler in line with the other regions. Okay? Another good factor here, Pauline Hanson refuses to accept the fact that 40% of job seeker recipients have one or more diagnosed disabilities. We now have 500,000 people on job seeker that are disabled, that can't get a disability support pension, but we see them being put on cashless debit cards all over the country, right? Pauline doesn't care about people with disabilities. We know that. She wants children with disabilities segregated out of mainstream schools and put back into special schools. She's made no bones about that. She doesn't like disabled kids. Do you know what I mean? Right? Oh dear. Pauline's made it very clear when you look at some of her speeches. The language is as if it's only for Aboriginal people, which it's not, but it does disproportionately affect and impact Aboriginal people with the regions that it's in on the west coast and in South Australia and far north Queensland and Northern Territory. The only reason why we have the Hinkler trial is for political reasons. Right? It's predominantly a white region. We had to do that, they reckon, you know what I mean? Because they had to, you look at data stats and they had to bring down the level of racism down, right? And the Goldfields is 50-50 split roughly. But whenever Pauline talks about the Goldfields, she only talks about the Aboriginals in the Goldfields. So she's always painting the picture that it's only for Aboriginals. And this is why it is a racist policy. It is a classist policy. But the Hinkler region exists purely for data set purposes so that it looks good when you add up all of the different percentages, right, 81% of people on the cashless debit card in the Hinkler region are non-Indigenous, right? That skews your data set and it brings it down to about, you know, the government can say it's not racist because it's only 62% Indigenous people when it's not. When you look at the Cape York, it's 97%. When you look at Ceduna, it's 75%. When you look at the East Kimberley, it's 82%, right? And if they were to get their wet dream of having all the people on the basics card, right, all 23,000 of them in the Northern Territory pushed onto the cashless debit card, that would be 82% of the Northern Territory's whole population of Indigenous people on the card. And there's not a lot of people that actually live in the Northern Territory, believe it or not. You're talking about a large proportion of their population being on a cashless debit card. All right, but they're not getting their rollout like they wanted in the Northern Territory because people are not idiots. All right, a lot of people are staying with their basics card. That's what they know, and they're not being tricked into being, you know, volunteering for the cashless debit card. They're not being tricked into it. But the issue here is Pauline Hanson will not acknowledge those on the disability support pension on the cashless debit card at all, whether they've been on it since the start in 2016 or when they went on it as a result of her voting for it in 2018 in the Goldfields, or if they've gone on it now as a result of her going on it, you know, voting for it in the Northern Territory. Okay, because bear with me for a minute and I will get you some more data, because I have lots of data and facts and things like that, because it's very, very important that we use factual information that can't be disputed. Okay, okay. So as of the 4th of February 2022, okay, in the Northern Territory there is 31 disability support pensioners. Thank you, Pauline. You put them there. You voted for the December 9th, 2020 vote that night, and as a result there are 31 disability support pensioners now on the card in the Northern Territory. There are 19 disability support pensioners on the cashless debit card, right, in the Cape York region as a result of your vote, Pauline. Right, Bundaberg doesn't have disability at this time. Goldfields has 613 people on the disability support pension. East Kimberley has 356 on the disability support pension. And Ceduna has 168, right? Not all of those have been on the card since 2016, because like Goldfield didn't start until Pauline voted it in 2018. So also for the carers in those regions, 43 on carer payment in Ceduna. East Kimberley has 74 on carers payment, and Goldfields has 184 people on carers payments. Okay, and under 5, because they do a 5 with a funny little thing, it's under 5, they don't quite know, in Cape York. So isn't that interesting? By the way, 26 age pensioners in the Cape York also were put on the cashless debit card, and 9 volunteered. Out of 35 age pensioners currently on the cashless debit card, out of 139 people in the Cape York that are on the cashless debit card, you have 9 volunteers and 25 that were not volunteers. Thank you, Pauline. I wish she'd tell the truth, but she will not acknowledge people with disabilities or pensioners have been put on the card because she can't seem to understand. She may not support them being on the card, but by voting the bill through, vroom, straight through they went. I don't understand why she can't understand legislation, or whether she's just trying to play dumb. I don't know, right? I really don't know. But if you're a One Nation supporter, please listen to what she's done and what she's doing. Because what she tells you out here under her freedom fighting is not what she does in the Senate. When she votes people's legal rights away, their privacy rights, their statutory rights, their consumer rights, their autonomy, their self-determination and their freedoms away, right? When she makes sure that their human rights are breached, Article 9 of the UNCHR, right, and other numerous international human and domestic rights that this policy is not compatible with, okay? I don't know why. Pauline's got it fixed. It's for long-term people on welfare. Well, people on disability are lifetime, right? And it's not fair for her to mislead the public. And, yeah, it's not fair for them to mislead the public in this way. So I'm just putting it out there because it's coming from all of their candidates now. You know, oh, she only supported it for job seekers. Well, then if she knew the bill was going through and it was still going to impact pensioners, disabled people and their carers, right, and people who used to be on widows pensioners now under job seeker, disabled people who can't work that are under job seeker, students, ab study, off study, that are not job seekers, do you know what I mean? Casual workers that are not job seekers, or some could be because, you know, they've still got to keep looking for more jobs. All right, if she knew that all those other people were going to go on the card as well, why? Yeah, she still voted it through. Right, and she'll come back screaming, go, oh, but I voted for Rex Patrick's amendment, which was to protect the veterans, age pensioners and disability support pensioners. But the thing is that that amendment was not the bill, it's an amendment, and it got voted down because everybody else who was trying to stop the bill was focused on stopping the card completely that night. Okay, but there was a dirty deal done behind closed doors to make the Northern Territory voluntary. Okay, for transition from basics card to cashless debit card. Otherwise, you would have seen hundreds more age pensioners put on the cashless debit card because age pensioners are already on the basics card in the Northern Territory. So that she was clinging to that amendment the same as what Anne Ruston was. Okay, but that amendment is gone. It's an amendment. It's not the bill. It's not the third reading final thing where everybody stands up and votes. If Pauline was so adamant about protecting pensioners and people with disabilities, she would not have voted on the third reading to pass the bill. But she did. She stood up with the LNP government and still passed the bill. And she's done it repeatedly on every extension of the cashless debit card since she came into government in 2016-17. All right. And the result is, since Pauline Hanson and Malcolm Roberts have been in the Senate, the card has rolled out to the Goldfields, Hinkler, the Northern Territory and Cape York, well beyond its original boundaries of Ceduna and East Kimberley, Kununurra and Wyndham. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, we'll have more stuff and I'll have more screenshots to post and we're going to call these people out because it's not good enough. All right. So, yeah. So I'm just reading comments here. Alicia had organised a phone chat with the One Nation candidate for Hinkler. She said, I left an appointment early to ensure I was home to receive the call so I wouldn't waste his time, and I've not heard from him since. Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Hang on. And I've just lost your message. Oh, I hate this when you touch the phone and you lose everything. Excuse me. Oh. Hang on. Yasser's, I'll go back to that in a minute. I'll just answer Yasser Rose here. Any news about if I'm to live in Darwin? Is it still on there? And where else is Australia? It's Darwin, Northern Territory is in Darwin. So if you're, you could end up on the Cashless debit card in Darwin because the Northern Territory expansion was for the whole state, not just certain regions. The minister can go in and basically put certain communities on and stuff like that, but Basics card's still up there, so you could still end up on Basics card. Don't mind me, I'm still having trouble scrolling through this. Every time I touch it, it goes back to the top, so it's making it really difficult for me to read the comments in order. The thing is that Pauline Hanson just will not accept that through her actions she has put people with disabilities on the card. People on the disability support pension, their carers, students, ab study, or study, casual workers, and now as a result of the last bill, age pensioners have ended up on the card. She can jump and scream and say it's only for long-term welfare recipients. She can scream the house down, screaming, if you're on welfare, you've got no rights, as much as she wants. That's up to her. That's, it doesn't... Hang on, Damien. Oh, ding, ding, ding. Hang on. So, going back to Alicia's comment, right, that she didn't want to waste his time, she has not heard from him since. So her question to Zach is, why make a scheduled phone meeting and not contact the person if something changes? He did happen to have time to share one of Pauline Hanson's cartoons at the time that he was supposed to be on the phone conversation with me. So obviously he's not very good at his conversation. So, yeah, that's... yeah, so hang on. Don't mind me, I'm still scrolling, but the minute I touch my screen, they jump back to the top. So, there you have it, guys. We have two lots of One Nation candidates sprouting the same rubbish. So we'll see what happens. And there's obviously, they're up to something. So there's a video coming out. And apparently we're all going to be surprised as to who the star of it is. Well, let's see what happens, okay? Because everybody knows ALP did support the card at the beginning. They supported it for a trial, not for never-ending trials, not for a program, and not for a national rollout. Since then, a lot's changed with the ALP. They've changed their social services ministers. They've changed a lot of their ministers over. A lot of attitudes have changed in the Labor Party in the last 10 years. And they've changed their votes to unanimously scrap the card, repeal the legislation, and stop the compulsory basics card. That's ALP's platform. And people come back and go, oh, but they support us. Like, well, we need to actually look to the future now and not keep going back to the past. All right? Let's not do back to, let's not go backwards all the time. We have an LNP, One Nation, UAP will quite happily drag this nation back to the dark ages for its own profiteering. We really don't need to help them, okay? Because they're only interested in mining, fracking, coal, gas, and mining magnates' money. That's all this is about. Okay? That's all their interests. So, there you go, guys. I'll be back later if I have anything else to share with you. Take care. We're looking for volunteers all over the country. Okay? If you want to help, send me a message. We need to be able to get out there, right, and spread the message about what this card is about. Send me a message. If you've got one of our shirts, make sure you're wearing it when you go out shopping and talk to people and stuff like that. Go and stand in a public place with a friend. I always advise being with a friend. And just make people see you with the card shirt on or with a sign, and support your Labor candidates in your regions. Okay? So, all right, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.